What do you think of that, eh? What do you think?
Evening, Chief.
How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm good actually. Would have liked the Highlanders to be a little bit sort of more in the hunt, but not knocked off by the better team.
I knew you were going to start off by talking about it. God, it was a good bloody weekend of rugby again. I'll tell you what, that halfback for the Blues, is it Christie?
I think so.
Shit, he's good. He had an absolute cracker of a game. Anyway, we'll get into it because you've got a busy week ahead. And you told me, this is what he said to me, just so everybody knows what happens behind the scenes. He said, let's make it punchy this week, which is a phrase, it's an advertising phrase that we used in radio a lot when we're making ads. And I haven't heard that for about 30 years. He wants me to make it punchy because I do go on. So let's rip into it. The great Cameron Bagrie. By the way, if you are wanting to educate your staff and educate your customers about what is happening in the economy, then this is the man to help you. You can book him through essentialtalent.co.nz. He comes along, he'll talk to your staff about what's happening in relation to your industry. And then he can talk to your customers as well, and it goes down really well. So let's talk about, first of all, Victoria and lockdown. I think another 671 cases today, and are they in a state of emergency? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, it's a bit of a wake-up call. Melbourne's heading to lockdown. To put Melbourne in perspective and sort of Kiwiana. Melbourne's got a population of about 5 million. The size of the economy is about 10 to 15% bigger than New Zealand. So step back and just imagine how we would feel if we went back to alert level 3 or more likely a 4. Now, we don't have the details yet in regard to what's going to be going on in the work front. But presumably, if they're serious about this thing, and I think they are, then there's going to be some pretty severe restrictions on going to work. Essential services will be open. It looks like they're going to mimic what New Zealand went through over April and a week or two in May. So for the Australian economy and for broader Australia, not great news. In fact, that's putting things pretty damn optimistically. But it's a bit of a wake-up call for New Zealand as well in regard to this thing's come back, and it's not just in Melbourne, it's not just in Australia. You have a look at the numbers we're seeing in other jurisdictions around the globe. I think most people know about the United States, how quickly it's rifling through there. It's rampant through Mexico as well. It's obviously just down the border. The one we're going to be watching over the next month or two, particularly in August, is going to be what's going on across Europe, because it looks like it's making a regeneration there as well. So watch out. Look, New Zealand's been lucky. We've been in a really good space, but you do wonder whether about New Zealanders, if they've been a little bit complacent about the potential for what could be a pretty challenging times for the next sort of 6 to 12 months is my suspicion. Locally, we've done incredibly well. Goods are flying out the door. People are out there spending again, but we're connected with what goes on globally, and even if we contain it and the global economy doesn't, we're going to feel the after effects on the other side economically.
Yeah, right. I'm hearing you. Okay, so let's move on to Xero's data showed small business turnover in June 2020, similar to same time last year, and just going on the back of what you've just said, I mean, how sustainable is this going forward? Do you think we're going to see quite a dip off, year on year for, July, August, September?
Well, glass half full. Those numbers were really encouraging.
Yeah.
To see turnover back in June, broadly where we were 12 months ago, was a really good news story. Now that said, there's obviously some sectors at the moment that are a country mile away from that. But the flip side is that we're seeing a real springboard effect for a lot of sectors, because we couldn't spend over April and May. boy, have they been unleashed in June, because we've been out there buying spa pools, we've been out there, buying curtains, little jobs that we thought we needed to do around the house that we sort of kept on kicking down the road. Well, they're front and centre at the moment. So a lot of those sort of smaller jobs we're prioritising. So there's been a big pent-up demand rush in June, which has helped out, and I suspect some of that has flowed into July as well, at least in regard to the July school holiday period. But sure, the next 2 to 3 weeks, probably the next month, is going to be really significant in regard to whether that bounce has got any substance. At the moment, my inclinations are it's a little bit more euphoria, excitement. We've got on top of this. We found out, because we haven't been travelling, we've got a bit of money in the wallet. So what have we done? We've got out and blown the loot. But if you look at where I think we're going to be in the back half of this year, given what's going on globally, I think the outlook's still pretty cautious out there.
Yeah, okay. So residential property, we talked about this last week, seems to be going okay. How about commercial property? Your thoughts on that? Or where's that heading?
Yeah, residential's obviously bounced up in June after a pretty weak April and May. A little bit of that sort of pent up demand. It's been fueled by a few people coming from overseas. In fact, a lot of people aren't even back, and they're buying from offshore. They're sight unseen. Just give me a look at the place. I want to get that bolt hole down in New Zealand. So residential is benefiting. Lower interest rates, whether it be borrowing rates or deposit rates in the bank, is stimulating the market. First-time buyers are out there en masse as well. So the market there is holding up remarkably well, subject to the big caveat. And the big caveat is jobs. And I think, to be fair, the outlook for jobs is still pretty fragile over the next sort of 6 to 12 months. So we're going to be having another discussion about residential. Commercial is the one that not too many talk about at the moment. Now, we're still seeing a bit of a polarized picture within commercial. You're not seeing an awful lot of, increase in stuff on the market in regard to for sale. But what we are seeing is a big flush of stuff coming on the market for lease. And what does that tell me? We're starting to see people that are packing up the shop. Now, they're not going to be in existence the next sort of 2 to 3 months. Yes, if I have a look at Auckland, for instance, Auckland's seen about a 20% increase in the last 3 months in the number of commercial leases available. If you look at New Zealand wide, that number's around 15%. So I think the commercial market is going to be a big one to watch. And it's not just because of COVID-19 and the economic cycle. If you look at some sectors such as retailing, well, they're going to face challenges anyway, because we're moving more to online platforms. And all COVID's done, it's just been one hell of a lightning bolt in regard to a bit of a wake-up call in regard to, well, this is going on. Interesting thing for the likes of Auckland, because I just saw there was an article out tonight, or was it yesterday, talking about the CBD sort of struggling. Yes, people rushed into commercial base sort of straight away, but you're not getting the foot traffic, you're not getting the people. Well, you ain't seen nothing yet, because the foreign tourist season is November to April, March, April next year. They just wait till they're not seeing the foot traffic around those sort of periods to see what their sector is going to look like. So, unfortunately, the commercial sector is one that we're going to, I think, be keeping a pretty close eye on in the next sort of 6 months.
Now, you just touched on employment just in that comment. So I think, by memory, this week we've got unemployment figures coming out. What's the prospect? What are you picking there?
Well, I actually put initially a glass full interpretation. If we can do that in an environment where the unemployment rate is obviously going to move up. Now, the unemployment rate is probably going to go from 4.2% to somewhere up around 6%. Now, that sounds bad, but considering what we were expecting 3 to 4 months ago when we sort of went into lockdown, those numbers are going to look helplessly good. And this has been the benefit of the wage subsidy scheme and the extension. I think business has been warehousing a little bit of stuff as well. We've seen a little bit of job destruction, but we haven't seen the job destruction we were originally expecting. Caveat, and this is where we moved into glass half empty. If I have a look at what we're seeing in early July, look, we're still seeing people sign up for the for the job seeker benefit. In fact, not job seeker benefit. You got the COVID derivative package in regard to what people can actually get now. Now, last week there was about 1,500 people signed up. Now that's down a little bit on the week before and the week before that. Yeah, but 1,500 people over a 13-week period, that's like 20,000. Now, the labour force in New Zealand is about 2.7 million. As if our run rate at the moment, and remember the wage subsidy is still on, is that there's still 1,500 jobs that are being lost every week. You know, you are talking about an unemployment rate that's still going to be moving up pretty aggressively, I think, into the back half of 2020. But we'll take a lead from a few more of the indicators. Yeah, job ads have bounced up, but job ads, if you look at Seek data, it's still about 40% below where it was over the average period of 2019. For those sort of economic indicators, I saw a couple of Labor Party MPs on the TV tonight. It's all about jobs, and they're absolutely right. So information for the likes of Seek is going to be absolutely critical in regard to giving us timely information in regard to what's actually going on that front. Whether firms are actually starting to hire again, or whether they're still in that sort of lockdown or more cautious mode. I still think most firms out there at the moment are pretty cautious. ANZ came out with their survey about 2 to 3 days ago, the business outlook. And most firms are still expecting to have fewer employees in the next 12 months as opposed to more. So tough times, I think, ahead, but the numbers we're going to get this week will be a hell of a lot better than what we were expecting.
Interesting quotes from the RBNZ this week. Can you give us your thoughts on those?
Yeah, there was the Reserve Bank. People need to keep an eye on them in regard to what they put out. There was two statements that sort of caught my eye. Look, one was encouraging banks to be courageous, brave. You think about the long game. What does that actually mean? It's about encouraging them to stand by their clients. Take a little bit of a punt if you need to. Push a little bit more money into the system, but be prepared to take a bit of a loss or face tough times over the next 6 to 12 months, i.e., profits go down. You'll make it up in the next sort of 4 to 5 years if you stand by the economy. In aggregate, will actually be better off. But it's about long-term thinking as opposed to short-term thinking. Unfortunately, executing on that is actually easier said than done. Because you sort of want to have your cake and eat it too. No one wants to be writing a loan that you sort of got a suspicion is going to go sour. So there's a little bit of a pragmatic aspect of that. But what the Reserve Bank also said, and it got completely lost in the wash, but it's absolutely critical. The Reserve Bank made reference to banks starting to think about adjusting to long-term challenges such as digitalisation. Now this is just, what we're going through at the moment locally is obviously a COVID-led cyclical near-term challenge. But a lot of sectors out there at the moment are facing deep-rooted structural challenges as well as the fourth industrial revolution sort of takes hold. Sure, you remember right back in 2000, Spark, these sort of entities, as we had a collision between IT and media and telecommunications. And the winners out of that down the track were actually the consumers. But the sector was not innovating fast enough to remain ahead of the curve in regard to the disruptors. Now, my reading what the Reserve Bank actually said, there was a bit of a wake-up call for both directors of banks, but I think an awful lot of other sectors as well, is that, yes, you are responding to near-term challenges here in regard to the likes of COVID. But you also need to have the strategic overlay here in regard to what are these challenges that are coming down the pipeline, because these
and what other sectors could collide next.
Well, this is my suspicion. Probably the likes of the energy sector would be one. You start to think about whether the car is going to be a bit of a pivot point, like the iPhone was, in regard to really bringing a whole lot of things together. Because the car can be a data storage device. It could be an energy transfer facility in regard to electricity at work and at home. But you think about, what does this mean for lines companies? What does it mean for energy companies? So I'm really big on the whole idea that firms have got to learn to take risk because not taking risks is no longer the risk-free strategy. If you're not taking risk as an organisation, you're like the possum in the headlights. The problem at the moment, you've got everybody out there that's sitting there, and everybody's fixated, economists, myself included, with the near term. What's going on from night to night, what's going on across equities, oil, Victoria's getting an awful lot of attention as well. But you sit back at the moment and you look at what's going on in a secular sense as the fourth industrial revolution takes hold, and that's the physical, the biological, and the digital. 1 + 1 is 11. And I think we're still in the early stages in regard to where this thing is actually going. But a lot of sectors, if they don't have that innovation plan, and they've got to learn to actually take more risk, which sounds like an oxymoron. Normally at this environment, you'd be de-risking. Well, that might be a sound strategy in regard to COVID, that sort of stuff, but hang on, you've actually got to take a little bit of risk, because if you're not taking risk, where are you going to be in a fast-paced and digital age?
Yeah, absolutely right. Hey, you're a legend. I know you've got a big week ahead, so I'll let you go, and I'll catch up with you later in the week. Thanks so much for your time once again.
All the best, Chief. Take care.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon. Here we go. We'll just say goodbye to Cam. There we go. He's so bloody good, isn't he? He really is. And yeah, you can have him come to your business. What he does, he does a whole lot of work behind the scenes about your particular industry. And so you do that, Banjo on cue, and then but you get the fee. You pay the one fee, and he's there for like half a day. So once he's done that, he says, "Okay, how else do you want to use me?" So you could then bring your customers along and have a please, Banjo. You could have a session just with them afterwards, and then you could maybe bring in another sort of VIP group and just have a chat with 5 or 6 people. You basically get them in for that half a day. And Banjo, this is highly embarrassing. I'm talking the economy. Yeah. So there's lots you can do. Oh, Nick Rado, Palace Hupe Cotta have joined in. Hello, guys, 2 of our wonderful people at essentialtalent.co.nz. What else could you be looking at right now? You could be looking at motivation. You could to actually get your staff up and going. You could be looking at mental health. There are a lot of mental health issues in New Zealand, especially with staff that are under pressure, have been at home by themselves for a long period, and that's really just starting to surface now. So we've got mental health speakers, we've got people who can talk about the economy. We've got people that can talk about resilience. We've got people that can make you laugh. So you might be saying to plan your Christmas function that's going to be here before you know it. You want a really good night's worth of comedy, we've got that. You might have an awards night or a conference where you need an MC, and we've got that as well. You may want a dog. If you're looking for a dog, we've got dogs in all sizes, but mostly small. And God, you should have seen it today. So I take him for a walk, right? And you have one of these things where you can basically put it down, you get the tennis ball, and then you throw it, right? So I took him to the park, nice walk to the park, put the thing down there, do the big throw. Now he's looking for the ball. And he just stood there. He just sat there. So come on, Benjo, let's go and get the ball. Get the ball. All right. He's running now. I wish you could see this. It's so embarrassing. And he's just sitting there for the whole thing. Banjo, look. There we go. Yep, he's running. He's mad. He's crazy. Have a great week. Have a great week. Come on, people. Let's do this. Just think creatively. Do a little bit of extra work. No one actually ever became successful by not working hard. That's just the truth. Get fired up. Get organised. Kick some goals and have some fun. Most of all, have some fun. Man, she's a short life. If you're doing something and you're not enjoying it, enjoy it. Have some fun. Have a great week. I'm going to, I don't know. Now he's sniffing. Okay, have a great week, guys. Hope you enjoyed tonight. See you later. Bye.